Yo, they thought they buried the truth with him, but honey, the graveyard doesn't lie, and apparently, neither does that leaked funeral footage that just hit the internet at 3 a.m. sharp. You think you know who was at Malcolm's final goodbye? Think again, because in the middle of the tear-streaked faces, designer sunglasses, and fake crocodile cries, there's a shadow, a figure the cameras weren't supposed to catch. A third man standing dangerously close in Malcolm's last moments. A man nobody wants to talk about, but everybody's whispering about. Was he a bodyguard? A long-lost friend, or the final nail in Malcolm's already suspicious coffin? And why are the same three people, Phylicia Rashad, Bill Cosby, and that ever-so-quiet Malcolm Jamal Warner, suddenly acting like they've swallowed their own tongues since this video went viral? This isn't just funeral tea, baby. This is a high-profile, velvet-lined scandal about to explode. And the deeper we dig, the more it looks like Malcolm's last breath wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of a cover-up so messy, even Hollywood can't script it. Let's rewind, because before this third man became the internet's new obsession, Malcolm's death was already wrapped in more mystery than a Netflix true crime special, The Official Story? He passed peacefully surrounded by loved ones, the unofficial whispers? Oh, they've been louder than a church choir after someone says free dinner. Malcolm wasn't just another Hollywood name. He was a walking archive of secrets. The man knew who was sleeping with who, which family-friendly star had a not-so-family-friendly addiction, and exactly how many producers had been swapping script for silence. He had dirt on half the industry, and he wasn't afraid to sprinkle it like confetti at the wrong cocktail party. So, when his funeral came around, everyone expected a grand send-off, but no one expected that send-off to end up as a viral investigation. Here's the thing, the footage we're talking about didn't come from the official broadcast or the glossy press photos. No, this came from a phone, an old, beat-up, cracked screen iPhone belonging to an anonymous mourner, aka the cousin of a makeup artist who accidentally hit record while pretending to fix her lashes. And in between shaky zooms and muffled sobs, there it was. The shot that's got everybody clutching their pearls in the far left corner, behind the flower arrangements and to rows from the family section, a man in a long black coat, no program. In his hand, no tears on his face, and according to freeze-frame analysis by internet detectives with way too much free time, he wasn't looking at the casket, he was looking at the door. Like, he was waiting, watching, timing something. Now, if this were just some random guy, we wouldn't be here. But every attempt to identify him has been met with, and I kid you not, technical errors in the official funeral recordings. The live stream replay, cut just before that camera angle. The photographer's shots, accidentally corrupted. Even the church's own security footage. Inconclusive due to lighting. Oh, please. Lighting doesn't delete faces, sweetheart. People do. And then there's the body language. Multiple nonverbal experts, aka TikTok creators with a ring light and too much confidence, have analyzed the clip and concluded the man's stance was militarily rigid and his eyes too calculating for a grieving guest. Which begs the question, who sends a trained observer to a funeral? And more importantly, what were they observing? It's here that our story takes its first juicy twist, because when you start digging into the guest list, you find out Malcolm's final moments weren't exactly spent with his closest friends and family like the press claimed. Oh no, the room was a cocktail of tension, ex-co-stars who hadn't spoken to him in years, a few gospel singers whose last public interaction with him was a lawsuit, and to network executives who, fun fact, had just bought the rights to a biopic about Malcolm's life before he even died. Convenient timing, right? Now, you might be asking, okay, but what does that have to do with the third man? Well, according to one very chatty funeral staff member, who we'll call Ms. D for her own safety, this mysterious figure didn't come in through the main doors. He entered through the side hallway, the same one usually reserved for VIPs and family. And guess what? Ms. D swears she saw him step out of a black SUV 30 minutes before the service, in the company of someone who looks suspiciously like a certain longtime TV dad we all know, but aren't supposed to name. It's not just his entrance that's raising eyebrows. This man didn't speak to anyone, didn't sign the condolence book, didn't even glance at the casket during the final prayers. Instead, he left early, just before the pastor called the pallbearers forward. No goodbyes, no hugs. Straight back to that same black SUV, which peeled away before the hearse even left the church, and the reaction from Malcolm's inner circle. "Oh, they've been real quiet, too quiet," one of his former co-stars, when asked about the third man on a morning show, fumbled her coffee cup so badly it almost made the blooper reel. Another insider allegedly told a tabloid to stop asking questions if you want to keep your press pass. Subtle, huh? But here's where it gets really strange. That leaked clip, the one making the rounds online, it wasn't uploaded by the mourner who filmed it. Nope. It appeared first on an obscure message board known for conspiracy theories and celebrity blind items. And within minutes of posting, the thread was flooded with bot accounts insisting the man was just a cousin from out of town before moderators deleted it entirely, deleted posts, edited footage, nervous co-stars, and one man whose identity, it seems, is worth scrubbing from the internet at all costs. If this was just an innocent bystander, why erase every trace of him? Why threaten the people asking about him? Why make the whole thing look like the start of a spy movie when all you had to do was say, "Oh, that's Uncle Jim"? By now, the internet has its own theories, and they're not exactly gentle. Some think he's tied to Malcolm's last unfinished project, others believe he's a handler for someone more powerful, and a few are going full tinfoil hat, claiming he's part of a secret cleanup crew sent to tie up loose ends, and just when you think this couldn't get more bizarre. But see, that's where things go from that's interesting to oh no, Hollywood, you've got some explaining to do because, according to the so-called anonymous funeral staffer, let's call him Jerry with the nervous hands, this third man wasn't just any mourner. Nope, Jerry swears he saw the guy in the restricted family-only section, the same spot where Phylicia Rashad was whispering into Malcolm's mother's ear and where Bill Cosby's assistant was allegedly passing folded notes. Oh, and guess what? None of the official funeral programs list his name. Convenient, right? And here's the kicker, the man didn't come in through the front like a normal human being. Nope, he allegedly slipped in through the side service entrance, escorted by a private security team wearing black suits with Zero Funeral Home logos. We're talking men in black energy, but instead of chasing aliens, these guys were making sure no one noticed their VIP guest. But someone did notice. Jerry noticed, and Jerry talks when you wave an envelope in his direction. Now, let's connect the dots. Who had enough clout to bypass standard protocol, walk straight into a high-profile funeral without being announced, and sit in the private section, according to an industry insider, which in fake news land means somebody's cousin who used to work at a hair salon in LA. This man has deep ties to both Bill Cosby's legal defense fund and Malcolm's old management team. Coincidence, please? That word doesn't even exist in Hollywood. If your phone accidentally dials someone in this town, it's because they paid for the signal boost. But here's where things take a darker turn. Security footage from outside the venue, footage that was mysteriously lost within 24 hours, briefly surfaced on an underground forum. And in that grainy, jittery video, you can clearly see the third man arriving in a long, black luxury sedan. No license plate, no driver visible. Just tinted windows and a gloved hand opening the door from the inside. The man steps out, looks over both shoulders, and disappears into the building. The video cuts. Of course it does. Now, let's not forget the larger context here. Malcolm's sudden death had already set off a storm of online conspiracy theories. First, people blamed stress from his alleged feud with Cosby. Then others claimed Phylicia Rashad had been covering for Cosby so fiercely that it fractured their decades-long friendship. And now we've got whispers that this unidentified man may have been the last person to speak to Malcolm before he died, and not in a warm, rest in peace, brother kind of way. One particularly spicy rumor says this man was overheard in the days before the funeral arguing with Malcolm outside a Beverly Hills cafe. And when I say arguing, I mean full-on, stand-up, pointing your face, table-shaking arguing. A witness swears they heard the man say, "You think you can walk away from this, you owe us." Oh, who? Oh, what? Nobody's giving clear answers, but apparently, Malcolm's coffee was left untouched, and for a man who loved his espresso, that's a red flag bigger than the Hollywood sign. Meanwhile, the public reaction to the leaked funeral stills has been chaotic, to say the least. On Twitter, X, hashtags like hashtag Third Man Theory and hashtag Who Was He are trending, with armchair detectives posting side-by-side comparisons of blurry funeral images and celebrity mugshots. Some are convinced it's a washed-up sitcom star from the 90s, others swear it's an old music producer who vanished after an embezzlement scandal. And then there's the wild theory that the third man is actually a government handler tied to an undisclosed investigation into entertainment industry covered Dash-Upstart, and yes, even TikTok's in on it. There's a viral clip where someone slowed the funeral footage down to 0.25 speed, zoomed in on the man's shoes, and concluded with absolute certainty that they were a custom Italian brand favored by billionaires and, get this, high-ranking intelligence officials. I'm telling you, the rabbit hole here is so deep you could drop the entire Cosby Show cast in it and still not hit the bottom. Of course, the official statements from the family are predictably vague. Malcolm's rep issued a one-line press release saying, "We will not comment on speculative and disrespectful rumors," which in Hollywood PR speak roughly translates to, "We can't talk about it without blowing the whole thing wide open," and that's exactly why the internet isn't letting this go, because here's the unspoken truth: funerals, especially celebrity funerals, are choreographed. Every guest list is vetted. Every photographer is positioned. Every angle is controlled. So, when an uninvited, unidentified man slips into the most private part of the service, stays out of every official photo, and somehow walks out without a single paparazzo catching him, that's not an accident, that's a mission, and there you have it, folks. The funeral footage that was supposed to bring closure has instead cracked open a scandal so big, even Netflix couldn't have scripted it better. We're talking shadowy figures, whispered names in hushed corridors, and third man whose very existence could flip this whole Malcolm saga upside down. But here's the real question: if this man was innocent, why hide? And if he was guilty, why was he there at all? Because let's be real, in the world of celebrity, nothing is ever just a coincidence. Was he a protector, a witness, or the final piece in a puzzle that's been sitting unsolved in plain sight? And more importantly, who is pulling the strings to make sure we don't find out? Drop your theories in the comments. I want names, I want motives, I want full-blown conspiracy boards with red string if you've got them. Smash that like button if you want me to dig deeper into this third man mystery. And hit subscribe so you don't miss the next leak, because trust me, it's coming. This isn't over. In fact, it's only just beginning.